Hi, and welcome to our live Facebook Teen DVAM or Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We will be waiting 2 minutes to get some folks to join us. So hold tight, we'll be with you in 2 minutes. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, and welcome to our first Facebook Live event of Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to EverFi for supporting this Facebook Live event. EverFi is an organization that is engaging over 8 million students per year in creating a safe and healthy community through digital education. We want to start off with some introductions. My name is April, and I am the training director for the National Domestic Violence Hotline and Love is Respect. And I'll be behind the scenes today, keeping an eye on the feed so that we can make sure to answer any questions that come in. In front of you, we have 3 amazing advocates, and we want to give them a chance to introduce themselves and the work that they do here and how long they've been working for us.
Hi, I'm Joanna. I've been a phone advocate for 2 years.
So my name is Adam. I'm a digital services advocate, also for 2 years.
And I'm Alina. I'm a digital services advocate, and I've been here for 2 years.
Today we're going to be sharing information about red flags, warning signs to dating abusive relationships. April is going to be keeping an eye on the feed to make sure we answer the questions that you might have for us.
Yeah, if you've been following our posts on social media, you know that last Monday, we released a poll that asked which of these following behaviors would you consider to be warning signs of abuse? And there were 4 options listed. 1 was my partner embarrasses me in public. 2 was my partner gets jealous when I spend time with friends. 3 was my partner asks for my passwords to my phone/social media. And number 4 was all of the above. And today we're diving into the results.
Yeah, so it looks like about 90% of you got the answer right, which is awesome. So the answer was 4, all of the above, which means that answers 1, 2, and 3 are all red flags of dating abuse. So Jonah's going to start us off and kind of go into why those are red flags.
Yeah, so the first option that we have, my partner embarrasses me in public. So that can look like a lot of different behaviors. It can look like saying, oh, you're so bad at something, or it can be making you the butt of the joke. And then following that up with, oh, sorry, like I didn't mean it, you're being too sensitive, it's not a big deal. And that can be really easy to minimize and to seem like not a super unhealthy thing. But ultimately that behavior is coming from a place that isn't respecting your feelings or how that thing is making you feel. So if someone puts you down, if your partner puts you down, and it upsets you, and then they say that you're too sensitive, they're just ignoring the fact that they hurt your feelings. And if they keep doing it, then that's not them engaging in changing their behavior to help you feel better and feel happy in your relationship. And you deserve to feel supported. And my partner embarrassing me in public, that can seem like kind of an obvious example of abuse or of unhealthy behavior, and it certainly is, but it can also it can be minimized by yourself, by other people. And that's really important to just be aware of, because you deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to feel safe and supported in your relationship.
And I think that a lot of the times what we see or what we hear being on the lines, and I don't know if it's the same for you guys, is if you tell your partner a secret or something that you probably did in the past, a lot of the times your partner will try to embarrass you, or secrets essentially that you tell this person that you care about and that you have strong feelings for. They ended up kind of using it as leverage to embarrass you with, whether it's friends, family members, your social group, and that can be really devastating for someone.
Maybe that the intention maybe isn't like to hurt your feelings, but if you express that to your partner, a healthy partner would understand that and they wouldn't like keep repeating that behavior. But if they keep doing that, if they're not being respectful of your boundaries and your feelings, then that's definitely something that we would consider a red flag. So you always deserve to be respected and have your feelings taken into consideration by your partner.
Yeah.
So for the second one was, my partner gets jealous when I spend time with friends. We see a lot whenever you're dealing with someone who has unhealthy or even abusive behaviors. Isolation is a huge part of an abusive relationship, because a lot of the times, and it can come off really subtle as, you know, your partner might get upset when you hang out with friends, family members, might make you feel guilty, or even say something like, you don't care about me, you'd rather spend time with your friends or family members. And of course, this is someone that you care about, this is someone that you have feelings for. You want your relationship to be okay, so you kind of slowly start isolating yourself, whether it's from friends, family members, and it can be really challenging to navigate that situation.
Yeah, and it can be really easy to just think, oh yeah, my partner just wants to spend time with me. Of course, that's valid, and certainly spending time with your partner is an important part of a healthy relationship. And another really important part of a healthy relationship is having that support outside of your direct relationship. So having those different friend groups and having family members or other mentors or people you can turn to for support throughout your life. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with spending time with people you care about, and kind of expanding that world that you have in your relationship, as opposed to shrinking it and only spending time with your partner. Because a healthy partner would want you to grow and would want you to be happy, not necessarily just with them.
And a lot of common language you hear in our context is like, maybe your partner tells you, like, I don't trust this person, so I don't want you to hang out with them. And maybe that's because somebody dated in the past, or it's someone who's in the opposite gender, but whatever the reason, like, it's not okay for someone to tell you not to hang out with someone that's important to you, because, again, like Adam was saying, like, a healthy partner respects your friendships and they want you to have those relationships as well.
Kind of comes to that component of trust, as Melina was talking about. Like, I don't want you hanging around Anna because you had a relationship with her previously, or I don't like this person, or kind of any of those examples. When it comes down to trust, we know that trust isn't knowing everything that your partner is doing all the time. That's not trust. Trust is not knowing what your partner is doing, and it's a choice. It's choosing to believe that they'll stay within the boundaries of your relationship and be faithful to you. Or, for instance, if you're maybe concerned about their safety, it's trusting that they know how to handle themselves and they can say no to the things that they want to say no to. And so it's really important to kind of give your partner that autonomy and that ability to make their own decisions, because ultimately that's a very important part of a healthy relationship.
Absolutely, Adam. Can you all elaborate a little bit more on what jealousy starts to sound like, specifically to this second point here?
Well, a lot of the times, and people can get jealous, that doesn't necessarily mean that because your partner might be upset or jealous that they can be rude or disrespectful. They can feel whatever it is they're feeling, and it's important to have that balance and be able to communicate, and whatever they choose to do with those behaviors or those feelings, definitely doesn't mean that because they're feeling a certain way, they can treat you in a way that's rude, disrespectful. Communication is important in any relationship, and it can be really challenging or difficult to, want to talk to your partner, or even be afraid of how they might respond to certain things. But communication is definitely really important in order to, move the relationship in a positive, healthy direction.
Yeah, and it's kind of like with that jealousy, everyone feels maybe feelings of insecurity or feelings of uncertainty within your relationship, and obviously you want your partner to like you and all of that. But if you're feeling maybe jealous of your partner spending time with another person, it can be really helpful to unpack that and just really analyze those feelings. So, okay, so I'm feeling jealous. So what is that jealousy? Is it a feeling of inadequacy, or a feeling of, I want my partner to love me, and I worry that if they spend time with this person, then they'll love them instead of me. And so really being able to identify that is important, and recognize, okay, this is something that I'm feeling, not something that my partner is doing, and I can talk to them about it. Because having that communication and being able to go to your partner and be like, I'm feeling this way, and I know this is something that I'm feeling, but like, are we on the same page? Do we have the same feelings for one another? Like, it's totally okay to like just check in with your partner and be like, okay, where are we? Like,
those can definitely be like tricky and feel a little bit awkward to have those conversations, but they're really important, and it can really help you and your partner communicate better and healthier.
Absolutely, yeah. Relationships aren't perfect 100% of the time. There's some awkward conversations and stuff, but you have to have those uncomfortable conversations in order to move forward, because you're not a mind reader. You don't know what your partner's thinking. They don't know what you're thinking. You're only going to know what your partner's thinking if you talk to them. And that's a way that you can really clear up those understandings and, focus on a healthy relationship.
That's absolutely true. I know that, I don't know if it's the same for digital, but I hear it on the phones where callers are saying, well, they should know, my partner should know what makes me upset, or, this bothers me, my partner. I'm like, well, your partner doesn't read your mind, and if it's something that bothers you, and I know it might be overwhelming and even scary to talk to them about, hey, these things affect my feelings, these things are not okay, but unless those conversations, like Adam was saying, are had, these issues might continue to happen. So it can definitely be really scary, to say the least, when you're trying to have these, major conversations about how you're feeling, and then how your partner's feeling, and what the next step from there might be for the both of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you don't feel that you can have those conversations, or if you bring that up and your partner reacts really badly or violently, that's probably not going to be a healthy relationship for you, because a healthy relationship needs to have those conversations. And if you can't have those, then it's not going to be healthy or happy or satisfying for anyone involved. Kind of moving on to the third question.
Sometimes those feelings can maybe kind of make you go into more unhealthy behaviors, such as like demanding passwords, which is something that we hear often in our context. We hear a lot of people come in and say, well, my partner wants to know my password. And there are some instances where maybe password sharing is something that you both agree on. Like maybe you're driving and you need to look up something on your phone, so you ask your partner to look for it for you or answer the phone or something. And again, that's okay if it's something that you both are comfortable with and agree with. But if your partner is getting upset with you for not giving them the password, or constantly bugging you about it, then that's not being respectful of your privacy. Because even if you are in the relationship, you still have a right to your own privacy. You can do whatever it is on your phone. It doesn't mean that you're hiding anything. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. You just have the right to your own privacy. There's a lot of this idea of well, if you have nothing to hide, then I can look at your phone. There's something you hear a lot too, and that's not okay. Because again, trust is a choice. We choose to trust that you are being, faithful and you're good in the relationship without having that proof. Because really, it does the opposite. If you're constantly needing proof from your partner, then proof is never really going to be enough. So trust it's really hard, but you just have to trust one another, and it helps the relationship get stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to asking for passwords, kind of unhealthy behaviors relating to social media, or digital use could be something like saying, oh, I don't want you following this person, or I'm going to block this person, or I don't want you to have any friends of one gender, I don't want you to be friends with an X, or what have you. And again, it comes back to that trust, that just as it would be an unhealthy behavior if somebody stopped you from being friends with somebody in real life, it would also be unhealthy if they stopped you from being digital friends with them. And that kind of behavior is just, again, it's very unhealthy, and you deserve to nurture those friendships. You deserve to be trusted by your partner, and that trust can sometimes be abused by, for instance, tracking your location digitally. A lot of phones have like a Find My Phone app, and sometimes partners will say, oh, I just want to know where my partner is to make sure that they're safe. And if you want to know where your partner is to make sure that they're safe, that's one thing. But if you're looking at that map and seeing where they are to see if, oh, they're with somebody that I don't want, or they're not at work, where are they? Once that kind of suspicion comes in, and that jealousy or those different feelings of wanting to control your partner and where they're at, then it becomes very unhealthy. And so it's really important that you're able to respect their privacy and really stay on the same page. And again, if you have concerns about your partner, check in with them, have a conversation, because that is a healthy way to work through problems in a relationship, and just being very open and honest.
Absolutely, and it is something that does come up. And back to what Melina was saying, a lot of the times callers or even chatters say, well, we share passwords, and the minute that starts happening, it can definitely escalate to a whole nother level. If you have a consent to share the password, that's okay, but if they're using these passwords to keep track of you, read your email, go through your phone, that's really invasive, and you deserve privacy in your relationship. Your phone is yours, your email is yours, same thing with social media, but a lot of the times all these, nowadays with technology is great, but it can also be used to keep tabs on people for control, power and control, but it can be really tricky in navigating all of this.
Yeah. Absolutely, and yeah, some people say that relationships aren't serious if you don't have each other's passwords, or they're not official, or what have you. But even if there is no like super controlling behavior going on in the moment, having those boundaries can be really important. And just as I said before, it's really important to have different groups of friends and different people you turn to away from your partner. Kind of having those boundaries and those dividers can sometimes be really healthy for a relationship. Yeah.
Great. Thank you all for sharing those perspectives. We have some really great questions that go back to some of the points that you were making earlier. So I'm going to take a minute to share those questions with you and get some insight and expertise from you.
Please.
So our first question is, how can I deal with feelings of jealousy besides being controlling or hurtful to my partner?
Really good question. Something that I think you mentioned earlier, maybe kind of like taking a step back and thinking about where are these feelings coming from. Journaling is a really great way, because it's kind of like you're doing it on your own, and you can kind of maybe just free write everything that's going on in your head. Think about what might be causing these insecurities, or what would you like to say to your partner. And once you kind of write that all out, you can kind of read it to yourself and kind of figure out how you want to navigate that conversation.
Yeah.
You can also talk to your friends about it too, or whoever you feel is a source of support for you. That can also help.
And I think kind of going off of that, I think it's really important and going a little bit off from that is, it's really important to identify what those behaviors are. What are you actually doing when you are being jealous towards your partner? Is it, are you wanting to control who they spend time with, who they talk to, go through their phone? I think it's really important, and even when people call us, that's something that we do express, is identify what those behaviors are. What are you doing what behaviors are you doing to have all this power and control, and what can some of the alternatives look like for you?
Absolutely, and we're all only in control of our own behaviors. We can't make anyone else do anything, but we can control what we do. And so if we do recognize that we're engaging in unhealthy behaviors, or if I'm like, oh, I really wanted to go look at my partner's social media messages to see if they were talking to someone that I don't like, if I can recognize that, I can also take a step back and not do that behavior. So I can choose, okay, I'm feeling maybe like I don't quite trust my partner right now, or I'm thinking past that, maybe they're interested in someone else over me. And so I could have that conversation, and maybe if I didn't feel comfortable having a conversation right away and I needed to gather my thoughts, I could take some time and write down, okay, this is what I'm concerned about. And sometimes if you don't necessarily feel that you can get across everything you want to say in a conversation, one strategy that I talk to a lot of chatters about is writing a letter to their partner. And really, 'cause then you're able to like drop exactly what you want to say. And you can make sure everything is talked about. And definitely at loveisrespect.org, our site, we have a lot of different information on healthy, unhealthy, and abusive behaviors. And so you can compare maybe your behaviors or what your thoughts are to some of those different behaviors and see what's healthy and what's not. And then really focus on changing that, because you can change that behavior. It's just you have to do it.
Absolutely. Great responses. We have another question that's kind of similar and along these lines. One of our participants is asking, how can my partner and I create healthy boundaries?
That's a good question.
Okay, and it's kind of going from healthy boundaries can be, open communication, being respectful towards one another. Everyone thinks about things differently. Everyone feels things differently when certain things happen, and it's really important to create that boundary and have that space to talk about how you're feeling, because your feelings are important and they are valid. And communication, compromise, problem solving, compromising. It has to be fair. Both sides have to be heard out. Not necessarily you're 100% right and you're not 100% wrong. It's a balance in that, and itself takes time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing that can kind of be very helpful as far as communication between partners is writing down. Each of you can write down, okay, this is what I want from a relationship. These are my expectations, and this is kind of what I want to be getting out of it, or what I want to feel. And then once you and your partner do that, you can kind of compare notes and say, okay, here we are. These things are important to you. These things are also important to me, so let's build on that. And certainly there's definitely compromise is super important. And if something is really important for you and you don't want something to happen, you shouldn't have to give in to your partner on that. So if you're, for instance, I really don't want to have sex right now, that's not something you should feel the need to compromise on, because that's a boundary that your partner should be respecting. And so boundaries do look very different, like depending on what you're talking about. But ultimately, if something is really bothering you, your partner should respect that. And if they're not able to respect that, or if that's very incompatible with what they're wanting, then it can be really hard, but sometimes a relationship just isn't a match.
Great point. Thank you. We have another question. Someone is asking, one of my friends has been struggling to talk to her boyfriend about not wanting to share passwords to her social media. What should I tell her?
That's a good question.
So it's definitely, there can be a lot of things going on that we're just not 100% sure. Whenever anyone talks about the relationship, we might just be getting a small little portion of it, but every situation is different, and it can definitely be really intimidating depending on everything that's been going on. So one of the things that you can do is, being a friend and someone that cares about your friend and wanting them to be okay, is give them our website. Our website has a lot of helpful information. It has our phone number. It has our chat service. It's okay to, express your concern for her. Essentially, kind of something along the lines like, yeah, it can be really challenging to want to share that, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but I found this website. It has a lot of helpful information. I highly encourage you to check it out. And, maybe she'll decide to reach out to us, maybe not, but maybe she gets curious, she'll check it out, and decide to give us a call, chat, text. Someone's always here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one other thing to touch on is there a particular reason why your friend is afraid to have that conversation with her partner? So has her partner maybe been violent or angry towards her, if she's brought that up in the past, or were there other things that might have made her uncomfortable having that conversation? Because there's a difference between feeling intimidated about like having a tough conversation in a relationship, and then also having a tough conversation when in the past your partner's behaviors have been really hurtful and scary. Because it's completely understandable if you'd be intimidated about having that conversation on both accounts, if you haven't had that before, or if your partner has been really hurtful and scary towards you. But it kind of, it all depends on an individual situation. So if you feel safe having that conversation on your own, you just want to say, this is a boundary that I need to have a healthy relationship, great. But you're also more than welcome to reach out to us. We're here 24/7 by chat, text, or call.
And I think a good way to be supportive of your friend could be just reminding her that she has every right to her own privacy. Mm-hmm. And if she finds that her partner is kind of pressuring her or doing things that make her feel a little bit unsafe, that's not respectful and that she never deserves that.
Absolutely.
Great. We have one more question. Another participant asks, is it always unhealthy to share passwords on social media? I have friends that share their passwords with their partner and both people are fine with it. Should I be worried about the healthiness of their relationship?
That's a good one. Did you want to say something?
No.
Kind of as I was touching on earlier, even if there's not necessarily unhealthy behavior that you're noticing within your relationship, sometimes having those boundaries can still be really healthy and helpful. And it can be helpful to kind of ask, why do you have each other's passwords? Like, what is the purpose of that? And if there's no good reason why you have each other's passwords, then you probably don't need each other's passwords. And if there is a reason, such as, I don't know, I want to know that you're safe, there's like, you don't necessarily need to know someone's social media password to know if they're safe. And so, I mean, every situation is different and those boundaries are really important to have. And so if there are other unhealthy behaviors that you've noticed in your relationship alongside wanting to have each other's passwords, then that's important to make note of and to not necessarily make light of. But yeah, anything to add?
And I think you're absolutely right. And I think it just depends on everyone individually and their relationship. There's nothing wrong with sharing your passwords if there's that understanding and you're going to respect each other and it's not with the intent of knowing what you're doing, who you're talking to. Or let's say you do share your passwords, your relationship's good, there is no unhealthy or abusive behaviors going on, and then slowly it just, your partner starts questioning, oh, what was this? Who commented, this heart on your picture, or who liked that? That can be really problematic and can start a lot of unhealthy and abusive behaviors from that point forward. So I think it just really depends on the relationship and what happens possibly from that point forward. But sometimes people can have that be a understanding and a boundary that they have in the relationship and it works out. It just truly depends on the relationship itself.
Absolutely. And I think too, like if you have your partner's passwords and there's nothing unhealthy going on, but if you think even maybe if you're feeling maybe just uncertain about your relationship, or if you're feeling self-conscious, or if you aren't so secure in your relationship on your own, if you feel that you might look at your partner's messages or go through their phone or what have you, that's a really good sign that maybe you shouldn't have their password. Just to, if nothing else, to reduce that temptation or desire to go through your partner's information, because you have to do what's healthy. And that could be one really good way of avoiding that behavior. Of course, you're in control of your own actions, so either way is your choice, but that might be something to consider.
Great. I want to thank you all so much for responding to these questions from our participants. And for those of you who are watching our event, if you do have any other questions, or if you're watching this after it aired, you can reach out to us 24/7 at loveisrespect.org. We have online chat and texting available. You can text us at 22522. And all you have to text is "love is" all together. Or you could call us at 1-866-331-9474. Also, go ahead and follow us on social media because that's where we're posting these updates for Teen DVAM. And thank you so much for participating in our Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We hope to continue seeing you throughout the month. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.